In episode 31 of the CySec101 series, we're going to go through the essentials of JavaScript, which is a very important language in web development. And of course, we are inside of the web hacking module of the Cybersecurity 101 pathway of TryHackMe. And we're just going along the web hacking module today. We did the web application basics in the last video. We are going through JavaScript essentials today. We're going to go through essentials or fundamentals for SQL in the next episode. And then we got a couple of tools that we're going to cover by the end of this module. So it's going to be a really, really good one. And this is what we have as the outline for this. So we have the introduction, essential concept, JavaScript overview, integrating JavaScript in HTML, abusing dialog functions, bypassing control flow statements, exploring minified files, best practices, and of course, the conclusion. And we do have a virtual machine that is kind of getting up and running as we wait for it. And that's pretty much it. If you'd like to support this channel, consider joining Hackaholics Anonymous, the premier YouTube community for security professionals and hackers. We have 4 tiers: the supporter, agent, guardian, and master. And each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. And the agent, guardian, and master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, monthly Python automations, live streams with me every single month, plus so much more. And to join, you can simply click the link in the description below, or you can go to our homepage and click the join button, or you can go to youtube.com/@HankHacksHackers/join, and you'll be able to join Hackaholics Anonymous. Now, without further ado, let us jump into the JavaScript essentials room. JavaScript is a popular scripting language that allows web developers to add interactive features to websites that contain HTML and CSS. And we discovered in the last video that CSS is for styling. And once the HTML elements are created, you can add interactiveness like validation or on-click actions or animations. And all of these things can be done through JavaScript. Learning the language is equally important as that of HTML and CSS. And the scripts that are used in JavaScript are used primarily with HTML. This room and this video is designed as an introductory overview of JavaScript specifically tailored for beginners with limited JavaScript experience, which is us. The primary focus is on teaching the fundamentals of JavaScript from a cyber perspective and how hackers utilize legitimate functionalities to achieve malicious results. The Linux fundamentals room is important for this. The web application basics and how websites work are all important for this, and we have gone through all of those. And the Linux fundamentals was way early in the CySec101 playlist. Web application basics and how websites work were all a part of this specific module that we are going through. So the learning objectives that we have is understanding the basics of JavaScript, integrating JavaScript in HTML, abusing dialog function, bypassing control flow statements, and exploring minified files. I've already started the machine. It is up and running, and it seems like it's going to be a Linux machine. I think it's maybe Ubuntu or something like that. And we see that on the right here, and we do have our exercise files right over here. So, all right, here we go. Let's get it running. All right, we need a few essential concepts in order to make this work. The first one is a variable or variables. And if you watched any of the videos that we did on Python or the Linux Plus playlist, and at the end of that, there was the scripting videos. So if you've seen any of that stuff, you should be familiar with the concept of a variable. And a variable is a container that allows you to store data values inside of it. And like any other language, variables in JavaScript are similar to containers that store data. When you store something in a bucket, you also need to label it so that it can be referenced later easily. Similarly, in JavaScript, each variable has a name. When we store a certain value in a variable, we assign a name to it so that we can reference that later. And these are 3 ways to declare variables in JavaScript. We have the var, let, and const. While var is a function scoped, both let and const are block scoped, offering better control over variable visibility with specific code blocks. So var has to do with the various functionalities of the script, and then we have let and const that are block scoped, meaning that you have specific code blocks that would essentially be associated with those specific variables. In JavaScript, we have data types that define the type of value a variable can hold. So examples would be a string, which is basic text, a number, Boolean, which is true or false, and null, which means nothing, undefined, which means it doesn't have an actual definition or it doesn't have an designation, a value, and then the object, which is for more complex data like arrays or objects. And then we have functions that represent a block of code that's designed to perform a specific task. Inside a function, you group code that needs to perform a specific task. So for example, you're developing a web application that needs to print students' results on the web page. The ideal case would be to create a function called the print result and then roll number that would accept the roll number of the user as an argument. And then this is kind of what it would look like. So we have very similar to XML, right, or HTML in general. It has the starting block and then the ending block. So everything would start and end so that you can say that this is just one block of text, right? So you have the starting, not block, I want to say the starting, I forget the technical term that we use for this thing. But essentially, if it starts with script, it has to end with that / and then script inside of those greater than, less than symbols. Then we have the function itself, which is the print result, and then we have these squiggly braces, and then inside of it is an alert that essentially pops onto the screen where it says username with roll number, and then feeding it the roll number variable has passed the exam, and then any other logic to display the result. And then we have a for loop here that says for let, so remember variable, right? So let is a variable. So for let I equals 0, I less than 100, I plus plus, print result the roll number. And I in this particular case would probably be the variable itself. And so if it equals 0, if it's less than 100, and then the plus plus, I don't know. So because I don't know JavaScript function, I'm pretty sure they'll explain it to us in a little bit. But this is basically the function, right? For this, essentially, it'll just print onto the screen that the username with whatever has passed the exam. So instead of writing the same print code for all the students, we'll use a simple function to print the result. And then we have loops that allow you to run a code block multiple times as long as the condition is true. Common loops in JavaScript are the for loop, the while loop, and do while, which are used to repeat tasks like going through a list of items. For example, if we want to print the result of 100 students, we can call the print result roll number function 100 times by writing it 100 times, or we can create a loop that'll be iterated through 100, so 1 to 100, and we'll call the print result function as shown below. So this is, I guess, what this portion is right here. So it goes from 1 to 100. As long as it's less than 100, it's just going to loop through it over and over and over and over again, and it's going to print the result of this function that we have right here. So for as long as we are less than 100 on our iteration, it's going to print that result, which is this piece right here, along with the roll number, which would be the specific variable for the user. And this I++, now I kind of understand what this means. It's essentially for every iteration, it's going to go up by 1. So I is going to be added 1 increment, and then 1 increment, and then 1 increment until it gets to 100. So it's going to start at 0, and then that'll be the first iteration. Then we're going to add 1 to it until we reach 100, or essentially 99, because we're not saying less than or equal to, we're just saying less than. So from 0 to 99 would be 100 iterations of this script. So there we go. So the request response cycle in web development, the request response cycle is when a user's browser, like the client, which is our browser, sends a request to a web server, and the server responds with the requested information. This could be a web page, data, or other resources, and you can learn more about it here. So let's see what this link is. And this is how websites work. So this is the how websites work room that we have available, and very, very basic, talking about HTML, JavaScript, sensitive data exposure, HTML injection, these various attacks that are available. And it's super, super, super basic. And it just talks about how a website works and hopefully you know how a website works, and we did the very last episode, the episode right before this one, where we actually went to the request response cycle in much greater detail, and we looked at the various lines of a request, the various lines of a response, so that you can understand exactly how the code looks behind the scenes when you're making web requests and getting responses from a web server. So what term allows you to run a code block multiple times as long as it is a condition? And that should be called a loop. So let's see if that's right. And that is indeed right. So let's go to the JavaScript overview now. So now we get to actually create our first JavaScript program. JavaScript is an interpreted language, meaning that the code is executed directly in the browser without prior compilation. And sometimes you need to compile code so that it can run. This will just run directly in the browser without needing compilation. Below is a sample JavaScript code demonstrating key concepts such as defining a variable, understanding data types, using control flow statements, and writing simple functions. These essential building blocks help create more dynamic and interactive web applications. If it looks a bit new, don't worry about it. We'll discuss each step later on. So we have the hello world program. So these are comments, these forward slashes, the double forward slashes here that we see are comments. So this has nothing to do with the functionality of the code. And so we have console log hello world, which will probably print hello world onto the screen. The let age equals 25, which is the number type. This is a variable that we have right here. So let the age equal 25. And then if age is greater than or equal to 18, print that you're an adult. Otherwise, print that you are a minor. And then we have another function at the bottom right here where it's a greeting where it says hello. And then as long as we feed the name into it as the variable, it'll say hello, Hank, hello, John, hello, Dave, hello, Janine, whatever, right? So, and finally, at the very end, we have the calling of this function, which is these two essentially go together. The rest of these are operating independently as individual blocks of code. So JavaScript is primarily executed on the client side, which makes it easy to inspect and interact with the HTML directly within the browser. We use the Google Chrome console feature to run our first program, allowing us to write and execute JavaScript code easily without additional tools. So we are going to open Google Chrome by clicking the Google Chrome button. Once it's open, click the Control-Shift-I to open the console, or right-click anywhere on the page and select Inspect, and then it'll actually open up the console. And once you have that, you can actually go into the console tab. That'll allow you to run JavaScript code directly in the browser without installing additional software, which is very freaking cool. And so we're going to create a JavaScript program that adds two numbers and displays the results. And this is the code. So we're saying x is going to equal 5, y is going to equal 10, and the result equals x plus y. And then console is going to log onto the screen. The result is, and then it's just going to print the result of this variable that we have over here. And then that's essentially what that explains. And copy the code, paste it into the console. Once pasted, press enter, and you should see the result displayed, which is the result is 15. That's actually really cool that we can do that. So successfully created our first program. This is just the beginning, and there's so much more to explore as we dive deeper into this. So what is the code output of the value of x if x is changed to 10? And then in JavaScript compiled or interpreted language, it is an interpreted language. So let's actually go ahead and create our little output. I'm excited about that. That's actually very cool that we can do that. Okay, so this is a pretty slow virtual machine because that took a minute to actually load. And so we're going to right click on the screen. We're going to click inspect. It'll open this up. We're going to go to console. And now we have the code right here. I don't need you to reinstall Chrome. So I'm basically just going to type out the code because I really like typing code. And I wanted to get into my cells, right? I don't want to copy paste something. I want to start really practicing how to do this, excuse me. So we are going to do let x equals 5, and then we're going to do a semicolon at the end of that. Then we're going to do, oh, you know what? I see. So we do have to actually, so let me see, let x equals 5, and then I'll do colon shift enter. I see. So if you press enter just by itself, it's actually going to run the code entirely. So let x equals 5, and then the value, if the value of x is changed to 10, I guess it would give us a different result. So I'm just going to press enter one more time, and now I'm going to do let x equals 10. So there we go. And then we're going to do shift enter so we can write the next block of code or next line of code. Let y equals 10, and then shift enter, and then let result equals x plus y, and then semicolon, and then shift enter, and then console.log, and then we're going to say the result is, and then we're going to plus that with the result variable, and there we go. So this is what the actual block of code is going to look like. So let x equals 10. I'm kind of zoomed in, and it's a little bit blurry, so this might be a little bit tough to read for you because the letters are so small. So we have let x equals 10, let y equals 10, let the result equals x plus y, and then console.log the result is, and then we're going to print the result. Now I'm going to press enter, and now it says the result is 20. So let me see if I can actually copy this right here. So let's see. I do have copy as a function, so let's do that. The result is 20. Boom, we got that result. That was really cool. I did not know that you could do that. You could write JavaScript code inside of the console of just Google Chrome or something like that. That's actually very cool that we can do that. All right, so let's go to integrating JavaScript in HTML. So in this task, it is assumed that we have a basic understanding of HTML and the structure. This section will explore how JavaScript can be integrated into HTML. Usually, JavaScript is not used to render content. It works with HTML and CSS to create dynamic and interactive web pages. If you're unfamiliar with HTML, reviewing it through the provided link is recommended. So I am familiar with HTML, and I'm going to try to explain this as best as I possibly can, so that you can also kind of get a crash course on it as we go along. There are two main ways to integrate JavaScript into HTML, internally and externally. So internal JavaScript refers to embedding the JavaScript code directly within the HTML document. This method is preferable for beginners because it allows them to see how the script interacts with the HTML. The script is inserted between the script tags, and these tags can be placed inside the head section, typically used for scripts that need to be loaded before the page content is rendered, or inside the body section when the script can be utilized to interact with elements as they are loaded on the web page. So as an example, we're going to create an HTML document with internal JS, right click on the desktop and select create document, empty file, and name the file internal.html. And then right click on the internal.html file and choose open with Pluma to open it in a text editor. And then once the editor is open, we're going to write this piece of code inside of it. And so the doc type, this piece at the top, this tag, is basically saying that this is going to be an HTML document. It's very similar to this shebang line that is available when we're creating scripting inside of Bash or any kind of terminal type emulator where you have to just give it the shebang line at the very top. So the shebang line could say that you're actually creating a Bash script or you're creating a Python script, so on and so forth. So this is similar to that, where it's saying that this specific document type is an HTML document type, so that the web browser can actually read it as such. And then the language is going to be English, and then we're going to have, so notice that every piece of this, with the exception of this doc type portion, every piece of this has a closing tag. So there's the HTML tag at the very, very top, and then there's an HTML tag at the bottom that has that / that is a piece of the way that we can notice what a closing tag is. And then we have the head tag right here that has the head closing tag. And then we have the body tag, and then the body tag has a closing tag right here. And then we have the script tag, and then the script tag has a closing tag right here. And then you have the H1 tag, which is for the header, that has its closing tag. And then you have the paragraph tag that also has its own closing tag. So everything in HTML or XML has to have a closing tag that essentially matches the opening tag. And the difference would be what is inside of these tags. So for the header of the page, you would literally have the internal JS, which is the title of the page, and then there's the body of the page, and inside the body we have this content, and then we also have the script that is sitting inside of the body of the page as well. So this is our basic JavaScript. Or not, excuse me, it's HTML that has JavaScript embedded in it. So after we paste the code, click File and select Save, which will save in the internal.html. Double click the file to open it in a Chrome browser, where you will see the following output, and the result is 15, the addition of 2 numbers. So notice addition of 2 numbers was our header right here, right? Header 1. So if we change this to H2, the text would be a little bit smaller because it's no longer a header 1 formatting. And then notice that the internal JS is actually what is inside of our head tag, which is the title of the web page. So it doesn't get displayed onto the screen, but it's actually the title of the tab that opens it. And then inside of the body is where we have the result is 15, which is being the output of our script that's inside of our body, basically. So in this document, we are using internal JS, meaning the code is placed directly inside the HTML file within the script tag. The script performs a simple task, adds 2 numbers, and then displays the result on the page. JavaScript interacts with HTML by selecting the element, which is P, with the ID result, and updating its content using the document get element by ID result inner HTML. This internal JavaScript is executed when the browser loads the HTML file. So this is not inside of our actual script or inside of our HTML page. This is what's being done within the browser itself. So the browser is actually executing this internally when the browser loads the HTML file. And then we have external JavaScript, which involves creating and storing JavaScript code in a separate file ending with a .js file extension. This helps developers keep the HTML document clean and organized. The external JS file can be stored or hosted on the same web server as the HTML document, or stored on an external web server such as the cloud. And we'll use the same example for external JS but separate the JavaScript code into a different file. So first we're going to create a script.js file, save it on the desktop, and this is going to be the script's content. So this is going to be the content of this .js file. And then we're going to create a new file named external HTML and paste the following code. Notice that the HTML code is the same as the previous example. The only thing that has really changed is that we now have a meta name, which is the viewport content width, and then the initial scale, and then we have the character encoding over here. And then inside of the body, we are just referring to the script.js as the source of our script. Now, this specific thing, if it was inside of a web server, most likely it would be placed in a different path. So it's whatever the path of the JavaScript file is that needs to go over here, so that we can make sure that that's literally where the script is pulling its contents from. And then when you run it, again, the result is going to be the same, and we're going to have the external JSBR title so that we know that we're actually dealing with internal or external, so that we're viewing those different results. So what we did was we used the source attribute in the script tag to load the JavaScript from an external file. When the browser loads the page, it looks for the JavaScript script.js file and loads it from the content from the HTML document. This approach allows us to create the JavaScript code separate from HTML, making the code more organized and easier to maintain, especially when working on large projects. Verifying internal or external. When pen testing a web application, it's important to check whether the website uses internal or external JS. This can be easily verified by viewing the page's source code. To do this, open the external.test located in the exercise folder in Chrome. Right-click anywhere on the page and select the view source code, which will be done like this. And then this will display the HTML code of the rendered page. Inside the source code, any JS written directly into the page will appear between the script tags without the source attribute. If you see script tag with a source attribute, it indicates that the page is loading external JS from a separate file. So in this particular case, we actually have this, and it's been blocked out so that we can go ahead and probably use it for one of the answers. For practical example, we're going to visit tryhackme.com in the browser and inspect the source code to identify how the website loads the JavaScript internally and from external sources. So we do have script source right here that shows the assets TryHackMe, and that's where the JavaScript code is pulling from. And then we also have there's several lines of script sources that are pulling from it, and then it seems like in this particular text we don't have anything else that is just pulling from internal source code. It looks like everything is actually pulling from an external source code, and that is, yeah, that's for the most part, as far as I can tell, there's nothing from this that is pulling from internally. There's no internal JavaScript. This is all source, and source right here, and then source. So these are all external source JavaScript code. So which type of JavaScript integration places the code directly within the document itself? That would be internal. Which method is better for reusing the JavaScript across multiple web pages? That would be external. What is the name of the external JavaScript file that is being called by external test.html? And what attribute links an external JavaScript with the script tag? And that would be the source attribute. So what is the name of the external JavaScript file that is being called by external test.html? So we are actually going to, let me see, I'm just going to minimize this, and then I'm going to pull up the exercise file, and then we're looking for the external test.html, which is going to be this right here, external test right here. We have that, and then so it says attributes, so we're going to inspect this so we can look at the code, and it says what is the name of the external JS file that is pulling it. So now we're going to look at the code right here, so you can see the code, and then we have the head, and inside of the head would most likely would not be the source link for the JavaScript file. It would probably be inside the body, and inside the body we have script source and then thm_external.js. That is the name of the file. So thm_external.js would be the name of that JavaScript file. And just like that, we have our answers for all of these things. And I'm not going to create this because this is fairly straightforward. If you want to, because literally it would just give us the results that we see right here, the addition of two numbers. And then we just know that this one is being pulling from an external source code or an external JavaScript script, and then the very first one that we had was internally embedded into the actual code itself, where we have the script inside of these script tags right here. So for the most part, we're just going to leave that as is, because number one, it didn't require us to answer anything, but number two, I mean, it would literally, they're telling us to just copy paste this so that we can run it. And I feel like I don't need to do that, because you just saw what it does, and then we know what their output and the results are going to be. And we were able to just look at another HTML file that they created that we can go ahead and run and kind of mess with. So that is basically how this works. Feel free to rewind this particular section and go through it as many times as you need to really grab a good understanding of what the HTML code looks like, whether the script is internally being embedded into the actual HTML or it's external, where you're pulling from some kind of an external source, very much like what we have over here, which is the thm_external.js. And then if we actually go and look at our files right here, we can see that the thm.external or thm_external.js is actually inside of this folder that has the script inside of it, and then there's the hello.js and script.js. All of these things are actually in here as they created them for us. So this would not be difficult to do. So if I did internal.html, the addition of the two numbers is actually here, and then we can just look at the source code of this, and it would be exactly what we saw in the documentation as it was breaking it down for us. And then inside of it, we have the script inside right here that displays the contents for us. So all of that has already been created for us, and it's in here. We don't need to recreate any of these things. We just need to know how to read them and how to analyze them. So anyways, all of that being said, we can now move on to abusing dialog functions. One of the main functions of JavaScript is to provide dialog boxes for interaction with users and dynamically update content on the web page. It provides built-in functions like the alert, prompt, and confirm to facilitate that interaction. These functions allow developers to display messages, gather input, and obtain user information. However, if not implemented securely, attackers may exploit these features to execute attacks like cross-site scripting, which you will cover later in this specific module. module. We will be using the Google Chrome console in the upcoming exercises. So the alert function displays a message in a dialog box with an OK button, typically used to convey information or warnings to users. For example, if we want to display hello THM to the user, we would just do alert and then do hello THM. And then we can essentially just type this out and try it out. So let's actually go ahead and do that inside of the Google Chrome console here. So we actually have it over here, and I'm literally just going to write alert, and then we'll do hello THM, and then close the parentheses and press enter. And then we see that we got the hello THM. Google Chrome new tab page says hello THM. So that's very, very basic, and this is the script right there. I mean, script, quote unquote, right? But this is it. Alert, hello THM. That's basically it. And we can do this with a variety of different ways, I guess. A dialog box will be the message, and it'll appear onto the screen, as we see right here. The prompt function displays a dialog box that asks for the user for input. It returns the entered value when the user clicks OK, or null if the user clicks cancel. For example, to ask the user for their name, we would use prompt what is your name, and then to test this, open the console, paste the following, and ask for the user and then greet him. So it says name, prompt what's your name, and then alert hello plus name. So let's try that. And so we're going to start this whole thing. We're going to say name equals prompt, and oh, that's literally already there. That's so crazy that it's like it just fills it in for you. So I'll just press tab and it fills it. That's so crazy that that was there. I wonder if like it's just remembering what somebody else did, and so it's filling it in or something. I don't know, but that's basically the script right there. So hello name, prompt what is your name, and then hello name. So I'll press enter. Let's see if that actually works. Oh, there we go. I had to close the other one. So what is your name? Hank. And then we're going to say, okay. Okay, hello, Hank. That's pretty cool that we can do this inside the browser. I'm still like nerding out over the fact that we can do this just directly inside the browser. Once you paste the code and hit enter, a dialog box will appear and the value entered, We just saw this right here. The confirmation. So to confirm, the confirm function displays a dialog box with a message and two buttons, OK and cancel. It returns true if the user clicks OK and false if the user clicks cancel. For example, to ask the user for confirmation, we would use confirm, are you sure? And then we can just go ahead and do that ourselves here again. So we're going to do this. And I promise if I do it, it's literally right there. Confirm, are you sure? That's so crazy that it's literally doing that. And oh, whoops, I was supposed to put the quotations. That is pretty insane that this does that. Confirm, are you sure? And I'm going to say yes. And then returned true. And then if I do confirm one more time, are you sure? And then do that, press enter. And then if I say cancel, it's going to return false. So we see that right here. So confirm, are you sure? The first time I clicked OK and it said true. And then if I say cancel, it will return false. So very, very interesting. I am absolutely nerding out right now, and it's super fun. So, all right. So how hackers exploit the functionality. So imagine receiving an email from a stranger with an attached HTML file. The file looks harmless, but when you open it, it contains JavaScript that disrupts your browsing experience. For example, the following code will show an alert box with the message hacked 3 times. So we see a document, right? So this is an HTML language English. The header is just going to say hacked as the title. And the body is just a basic for loop that is inside of the script. And inside the script, it says for, and then let I equal 0. So it starts with the first iteration being at the value 0. And as long as I is less than 3, we're going to add 1 increment to it. And then we're going to print hacked onto the screen. And then so that's just going to print hacked. And that's basically it. On the desktop, create a file called invoice.html, paste the above code, double-click the file to open it, and the alert message will pop up 3 times, causing an undesired experience. So let's actually do that. Why not? I think it's already inside of my documents here. No, I don't have it here. Okay. All right. So we'll just create one. All good. So we're going to go here. We're going to right-click here. We're going to create a document, empty file, and it's going to be called hacked. invoice.html. Or the one that they have over here is the invoice.html. So it's actually here. So if I open up invoice.html, it's going to say hacked, 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 hacked. So that one was 5 times. So if we actually open this up and inspect it, we will see that inside of this, there is this script right here, and it says hacked, and then as long as it iterates and it's less than 5, right? So it's going to click hacked, or it's going to display hacked 5 times. And honestly, imagine like not knowing what just happened, and then you're clicking OK every single time, and it just keeps popping up hacked, hacked, hacked. That would be very disconcerting. It would be like unnerving to go through that. So imagine if a bad actor sent you a similar file, but instead of displaying the alert 3 times, the number is set to 500. You would be forced to keep closing the alert boxes one after another. This is a simple example of how malicious JavaScript can be used to create an inconvenience or worse, therefore ensuring you to only execute JavaScript from trusted sources. It is crucial to avoid such an undesired experience. Very true. Honestly, I would freak out. All right, so our question here, it says in the invoice HTML, how many times does the show hacked? That was 5. We just went through that. Which of the JavaScript interactive elements should be used to display a dialog box and ask for the user's input? That would be the prompt. And if the user enters Tesla, what value is stored in the car name prompt? What is your car name? In the car name variable? What? If the user enters Tesla, what value is stored in the car name prompt in the car name variable? Oh, Tesla. That was like, what? That was a trick question. I was like, what? What are you saying? What are you asking me? All right, cool. Let us look at bypassing control flow statements. Control flow in JavaScript refers to the order in which statements and code blocks are executed based on certain conditions. JavaScript provides several control flow structures like if-else statements, switch statements to make decisions, and loops like for while and do while to repeat actions. Proper use of control flow ensures that a program can handle various conditions effectively. Conditional statements in action. So one of the most used conditional statements is the if-else statement, which allows you to execute different blocks of code depending on whether a condition evaluates to true or false. So we have the age HTML on the desktop of the attached machine, and or we're going to create it, I guess. And so again, document HTML, language is English, the header would be the age verification, and then inside the body is where the magic is happening. And so we have age verification as the title. The ID of the message is just going to be the first part of the paragraph, and then the or inside of the paragraph, I guess, but this is literally just the ID of message inside of it, and then the script is what's going to be running. And it says age would be a prompt that's going to ask us what is our age. And then if the age is less than or equal to, or excuse me, greater than or equal to 18, then the document is going to get element by ID, which is my message right here, and it's going to say inner HTML, you are an adult. So this is going to print onto the screen by my message as my message ID. Otherwise, so if I am not greater than or equal to 18, the document is going to say I am a minor, basically. And that's the full script. And then we're going to double click it to open it and actually mess around with it a little bit. So I'll just go ahead and modify this thing. I have one right here. It's already in here. So age HTML, what is your age? My age, let's say 35, and it says you're an adult. And then if I refresh the screen, what is your age? My age is 15. It says you are a minor. So let's try that zoomed in so you can actually see what's going on. So what's your age? We'll do 85. We're an adult. What's your age? I am 10 and I'm a minor. And so if I look at the source code, right? So if we inspect it and then we look at the source code, it's going to be exactly the variable or the script that we just saw in our documentation, right? So it says, ID is the message, you are a minor. That's what's actually printed onto the screen right now that I have. And so this is the bulk of our script. So it says let age equals prompt what is your age. So let the age variable equal whatever the response is to this prompt. Now, if the age variable is greater than or equal to 18, it's going to tell me that I'm an adult. Otherwise, it's going to tell me that I'm a minor. And that's basically the script that we have right here. So very functional, and it's a nice way to see how you can really easily create interactions with a website. That's actually very, very cool and very easy to do. So we see that the prompt will ask for the age, and you're an adult if you're over 18. Otherwise, it's going to show that you're a minor. Bypassing login forms. Suppose a developer has implemented authentication functionality where only users with the username admin and passwords matching a different value are allowed to log in. To see this in action, we're going to open the login HTML file. And then when you double click on it and open it in your browser, it's going to prompt you for a username and password. If the correct credentials are entered, it will display confirming that you're logged in as shown below. So what is the message displayed if the age is less than 18? And that is going to be you are a minor. So we already had that. And what is the password for the user admin? So let's go ahead and open that whole thing up real quick. So we have the login HTML right here. So enter username, I'll do admin, enter password, no idea, because it doesn't tell me what the successful authentication is. So I'll just do password, and that's going to be login authentication failed. Let's see if we can look at the inspection of this, if it'll actually show me what the correct username and password would be. So complex password. So we see it right here. It's hard coded inside the code or inside the page, which is a big security issue. So we are looking at the actual script for the page, and it says enter username and password. So these are the two prompts. And then if the username equals admin, so 3 equal signs is a comparative instead of an assignment. So when you do 1 equal sign, you're saying that we're going to let the password equal this. So we're assigning a value to the password variable. Over here, when we do 3 equal signs, we are comparing the value. So we want to see if that username is actually equal to admin. And so the double ampersands means that both of these conditions have to be true. And the password is equal to complex password. If that's indeed the case, we are successfully authenticated. Otherwise, it's going to say authentication failed, which is what I did because I used the word password. So the actual password itself is supposed to be complex password, and that would be the value. Look at that. Nice. It's almost like we're learning. Isn't that cool? I hope you're also having fun doing this, because this is very, very fun to do. And even if you don't have an account with TryHackMe, you could literally just open up your Google browser and just go into the console and start typing these things out, or just create a basic HTML file that has these contents inside of it, and you'll be able to go ahead and run the same exact exercise that we just ran. So this is literally the entirety of the script. There's nothing missing here. So you could actually create this and test it yourself, or you can go and create what we just saw right here and test this yourself. So this is the full script right here. And then the header part is irrelevant because it's just going to show what the login page, the tab itself is going to look like. But the big piece right here is the body. So if the body says all of this, and most importantly, if the body has this script inside of it, then you will get exactly the same functionality that I just got as I went through this exercise. So very, very cool. Now let's look at exploring minified files. So far we know how JavaScript works and how we can read it. And what if the file is not human readable, which means it has been minified? Minification in JavaScript is the process of compressing JavaScript files by removing all unnecessary characters like spaces, line breaks, comments, and even shortening variable names. And this helps reduce the file size and improve the loading time of web pages, especially in production environments. Minified files can make the code more compact and harder to read for humans, but they still function exactly the same. So similarly, obfuscation is often used to make JavaScript harder to understand by adding undesired code, renaming variables and functions to meaningless names, and even inserting dummy code. So as a practical example, this would be a very basic script or a basic file right here, where we have the header. This one's fine. The document, HTML, all this part it's basic and we understand it. This is the piece right here where it's obfuscated JavaScript code and it has the source hello.js, and that's, I guess, a very basic location where we actually have the hello JavaScript file that we're referring to. Then we're going to create another file with hello.js and add the code where it says hi, which is the name of the function, welcome to THM. That's it, right? So now when we double click this, it's going to print onto the page, welcome to THM. That's going to be our alert that's going to pop up onto the screen, right? So once the file is open, you'll see the alert, and clicking OK to close the dialog box, right click anywhere and inspect to open the developer tools. In developer tools, navigate to the sources tab and click on the hello.js file to view the source code. You will see that the JS code is easily accessible and viewable as seen below. So this is what it looks like when you actually pull up a page. So we don't have one right here because there is no source code that we're pulling. The code is internal to the actual script. So if we go ahead and close these out so we can pull from our documents here, we should have one, I think, that is what is it? It's the hello.html, and the hello.html just says hello and hello and hello and hello. So 5 times it freaking said hello. If we go to inspect here, inside of our body, we will have the obfuscated JavaScript code, and then the source code is hello.js. And if we go to sources, we can see that there's a hello.js file. And then we look at the hello.js file, and we have this whole function right here that is a part of that entire script. So you can see that all of this is actually, it's a much deeper version of the JavaScript code that we were just looking at. So it's actually very, very crazy. The very last function right here is the hi function that has been called, and this is oxled or whatever that is. We have hi. This is the actual function right here. That let me see if I can kind of arrange it to view here. So we have function, hi, variable, etc. And this is all has been, I guess, obfuscated so that we can't see what the actual value of the function is right here, which is actually kind of crazy to think about. This is what obfuscation, I guess, looks like in a real environment, because I can't really break any of this down. It's not human readable in any way. And there's multiple functions that say hi that are, I guess this would be considered to be the dummy code, right? So you're looking at this, or maybe they've just repeated the same function over and over and over again, which is why it said hi 5 times and I kept clicking OK and it kept saying hi, right? So there's different ways that you can run it. You could technically have a for loop that will just repeat the same thing over and over and over again, or you could just have the same function being repeated 5 times, and then for each time that it repeats, it just gives you that output onto the screen. So this output that we see right here, this code that we see right here, is very, very different from this piece, this little function that we see right here. And then if we went and looked at the source code, we would see the source code, which is literally 4 lines of code right here versus however many lines this thing was right here. It's pretty fucking insane. Sorry about my French. So obfuscation in action. Now we will try to minify the obfuscate JavaScript code in an online tool. Visit the website and copy the contents of hello.js and paste them into the dialog box on the website. This tool will minify and obfuscate the code, turning it into a string of gibberish characters shown below, which is what this looks like right here. So it'll take this very simple output or input, I guess. It'll take this simple input and turn it into this insane output right here, which seems to be exactly what is showing up right here. That this is way, way similar to what is showing up inside of the obfuscated version of the code that we have right here on this side right here. This very much, all of this jargon right here seems to be that, especially this piece right here, the 0x114713, that seems to be exactly what this is right here at the very, very, very top, 0x114713. So that is very much the obfuscated code that we see right here that has been turned into that by this website. So what is this website? We have the JavaScript Obfuscator. Okay, very original name. So the JavaScript Obfuscator just turns it into that kind of code for us, which is this. This is what we see right here, this massive amount of BS that we see right here. But that's the power of obfuscation. So that's what we should be doing so that people can't see what's going on behind the scenes, right? So if we click copy to clipboard, highlight it as 2 in the above image button as shown on the website, then remove the current content of hello.js on the attached VM and paste the obfuscated content into the file. Reload the hello HTML file in Google Chrome and inspect the code again. You will notice that the code is now obfuscated but still functions exactly the same as before, which is literally what we just ran. And it was running the obfuscated version of the code, right? It wasn't running that super clean version of the code. It was running the full thing. So we can also de-obfuscate an obfuscated code using an online tool. And then I'm guessing it's going to say de-obfuscate or obfuscated to, yeah, exactly. So then paste the obfuscated code into the provided dialog box. The website will generate the equivalent human readable JavaScript code for you, making it easier to understand and analyze the original script, which is basically reversing the process that we just saw previously. So you have seen how easily we can de-obfuscate and retrieve the original code. What is the alert message shown after running the file hello.html? So this is what we had, and I think it's obfuscated. No, what is the message? Oh, welcome to THM. That's the message. So welcome to THM. And what is the value of the age variable in the following obfuscated code snippet? So I'm going to just take this whole thing and copy that, and then we're going to go here and we're going to paste it here, and then we're going to de-obfuscate this, and age is 21. So just like that, we were able to de-obfuscate code. It just sounds like a completely different language. It doesn't even sound like English. If you say it like 4 or 5 times, it just loses its meaning. All right, so now let's just talk about some best practices. So if you're evaluating a website or writing code for a website, these are some good practices to keep in mind. So avoid relying on client-side validation only. So one of the primary functions of JS is performing client-side validation. Developers sometimes use it for validating forms and rely entirely on the client side, which is not a good practice. Since a user can disable or manipulate JavaScript on the client side, as you just saw we could do inside of Google console fairly easily, performing validation on the server side is also essential. Refrain from adding untrusted libraries. As discussed in earlier task, we can include any other JavaScript in the source attribute and actually pull from an external link, right? But have you considered whether the library that we include is from a trusted source? Bad actors have uploaded a bundle of libraries on the internet with names that resemble legitimate ones. So if you blindly include a malicious library, you will expose your application to threats. Avoid hard-coded secrets. So what we just saw with that authentication page where the password was literally inside of the code. So never hard-code sensitive data like API keys, access tokens, or credentials into the code, as the user can easily check the source code and get the password. For example, const private API key being this, right? Minify and obfuscate your JavaScript code, where we just saw. Using this reduces the size, it improves load time, and makes it harder for attackers to understand the logic of the code. Therefore, always minify and obfuscate the code when using code in production. The attacker can eventually reverse engineer it, but getting the original code will take at least some effort. Is it a good practice to blindly include JavaScript in your code from any source? We're going to say nay, because it's probably not a good practice. So let's wrap this thing up, and I'll give you a couple of notes and we'll be done. All right, congratulations. Thanks for hanging in there. I feel like we did some good stuff today. I was definitely nerding out because I didn't know you could do all that stuff inside the web browser. So that was cool for me. It was a nice first experience. We have covered important topics like the basics of JavaScript, creating our first JavaScript code, and integrating JavaScript in HTML. Moving forward, we discuss other interactive elements of JavaScript like prompts and how attackers can abuse them. Then the room highlighted the usage of control flow statements and how they can be bypassed. We then explored how to use minify and obfuscate and obfuscate a JavaScript file, and learned the other way around, meaning de-obfuscating. And we touched upon some of the best practices that you can follow. So this was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I hope you actually got a lot of value out of it as well. And there's more stuff that's available if you wanted to communicate with the Discord channel for TryHackMe, or talk to them on X, you can definitely do that. And I mean, I think you should. We also have a Discord channel for this YouTube account. It's all under the guise of Hackaholics Anonymous, which I'll tell you in about 30 seconds. But first, if you have not already done so, I do encourage you to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out, especially in the CySec101 playlist as we get further along and we're getting towards the second half of CySec101. So I'm very, very excited that we actually are going to probably end up wrapping it up, hopefully within the next week or two. And drop a comment if you have any questions or anything that is on your mind. If you just want to say hi, or if you actually have some serious questions, I am very responsive in the comment section, and I do reply to everybody. And if it's a really good question, then I'll create a video in response to your question, or even a playlist like what you see over here. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out. And of course, drop a comment, say hi, say thanks, whatever. You can also say thanks by supporting this channel and joining Hackaholics Anonymous, the premier community for security professionals and hackers. We have 4 tiers: the supporter, agent, guardian, and master, and each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. And the agent, guardian, and master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, monthly Python automations, live streams with me every single month, plus so much more. And to join, you can simply click the link in the description below, or you can go to our homepage and click the join button, or you can go to youtube.com/@HankHacksHackers/join, and you'll be able to join Discord and Hackaholics Anonymous. I hope I see you in the Discord chats. If not, I hope I see you in the comment section, and that's it. This is your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker/protector. Love, peace, and chicken grease. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you, and I will see you in the next episode later.